English learners, and welcome back here to English Pod. My name is Emma.
And I'm James.
Today, we're talking about a very, very special topic.
Yes, this topic was actually suggested by one of our listeners.
Exactly, so keep those comments coming because we want to make lessons that you need and want.
Absolutely.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today's topic is, why do we take risks?
Yes. Why do we take risks? It's an interesting question, right? We all take risks sometimes, and some risks can be small, like trying a new food. But other risks can be big, like moving to a new country or starting a new job.
That's true, but why do people even take risks? What makes us do something that could be dangerous or challenging?
Good question. I think one reason people take risks is to learn new things. When we take risks, we often discover things about ourselves, like what we are good at or what we enjoy.
Right. Sometimes taking risks helps us grow and see life in a new way. For example, when you make new friends or try a new hobby, you learn things you wouldn't know if you didn't try.
Exactly. And sometimes, even if a risk doesn't go well, we still learn something. We learn what we can do better next time, or maybe we find out what we don't like.
That's true. It's like, even if we fail, we can still get stronger from that experience. But Emma, do you think there are people who are just born to take more risks?
Oh, that's an interesting thought, James. Some people might feel more excited about taking risks. They enjoy the thrill, that feeling of excitement and adventure. But for other people, taking risks can feel very scary.
Yes, exactly. It's like some people get energy from trying something new or dangerous, and other people feel nervous or unsure. Do you think it depends on a person's personality?
Yes, I do. For example, if someone is very curious and loves exploring, they might be more likely to take risks because they want to see what's out there. But someone who likes things to be calm and safe might avoid risks because they prefer security and comfort.
Right, and that's totally okay. Not everyone needs to be a big risk taker. But sometimes life puts us in situations where we have to take risks, even if we don't want to.
That's so true. Sometimes taking a risk is not a choice, it's a necessity. Like, imagine if you want a new job, but that job is in a different city. You have to move, which can be a big risk because you don't know anyone there. But it's also a way to find new opportunities.
Exactly. And often, those risks can lead to something great. But Emma, let's talk a bit about why taking risks can feel so scary. Why do you think people feel afraid of risks?
Good question. I think it's because risks often bring the unknown. And when we don't know what's going to happen, our brains can feel unsure or worried. It's natural to feel scared about things we can't control.
Yes, it's like our minds are always asking, what if this goes wrong? But sometimes we have to remind ourselves, what if this goes right?
Exactly, James. Taking risks can go both ways. Sometimes it's scary, but other times it can bring really wonderful things. And a lot of people who take risks and succeed feel proud because they did something brave.
That's true. And being proud of ourselves is important because it helps us believe in our abilities. When we take risks, we learn that we can handle difficult situations and that can make us feel stronger and more confident.
Yes, and confidence is such a big thing. Once we know we can handle one risk, we might be more willing to try something new again. It's like building muscles each time we take a risk. Our confidence grows.
And that confidence can help us in other areas of life too. It's like if you can move to a new city and make new friends, maybe you can also start learning a new skill like painting or cooking because now you know you can try new things.
Exactly, it opens up new possibilities. But of course, we don't mean you should take every risk, right?
Oh, of course not. Some risks can be dangerous or have big consequences, and we should always think carefully before making big decisions. Sometimes it's best to ask ourselves, is this worth it?
Yes, that's a good way to think. Before taking a risk, ask yourself, is this something that could help me or could it hurt me? And if it's a big risk, it can be helpful to talk to friends or family to get advice.
Absolutely. And sometimes, even if something feels a bit scary, it might still be worth trying if it has a good purpose, like helping us learn or grow.
Exactly, James. Sometimes it's about seeing the bigger picture. Even if a risk is scary, it might be the path to something really positive in the future. So, if we have a good reason or purpose, it can help us be brave enough to try.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes small steps can make big risks feel less intimidating. Like, instead of moving to a new city right away, maybe someone could visit for a few weekends first, just to get comfortable.
That's a great idea, James. Taking smaller steps is a way to practice being brave without feeling overwhelmed. It's like learning to swim. You start in the shallow end before you go into deep water.
Right, and each small step we take can show us that, hey, maybe this risk isn't as scary as I thought. It builds up our courage bit by bit. And Emma, I think this courage can be so useful in everyday life, don't you?
Absolutely, courage is like a skill that we can use in all areas of life. Even in small things, like trying to speak English in a conversation. For some people, speaking a new language feels like a big risk because they're afraid of making mistakes.
That's true, but as we know, mistakes are part of learning. Every time we take the risk to try something, even if we make a mistake, we're actually getting better. The key is to not let fear stop us from trying.
Exactly, and we can remind ourselves that everyone makes mistakes, even people who are really good at what they do. The important thing is to keep going and to know that taking risks is a way of moving forward, step by step.
Yes, and even with those small mistakes, people usually remember the courage it took to try, not the mistakes themselves. It's like when we see someone doing something brave, we usually feel inspired, not critical.
That's such a good point, James. I think that's why taking risks can also inspire others. When people see someone being brave, it makes them think, if they can do it, maybe I can too.
Exactly, and that's how we grow as people and as a community. Sometimes, one person's small risk can encourage others to try things they've always wanted to do but felt afraid of.
Yes, it's almost like a ripple effect. One brave act can spread courage to others. And it's a reminder that taking risks isn't just about what happens to us, but also how it can impact the people around us.
Absolutely, Emma. And sometimes people take risks to help others, like starting a new project to help their community or speaking up for something they believe in. Those are risks too, but they come from a place of caring for others.
Oh, that's a wonderful way to think about it, James. Risk-taking doesn't always have to be about personal gain. Sometimes it's about making the world a better place, even if it's just in small ways.
Yes, and I think when we know our actions can help others, it can make us feel even more motivated to take those steps, even if they seem risky.
Absolutely. Knowing that our actions might make someone else's life a little brighter can be a powerful reason to be brave. And that's something anyone can relate to, whether it's big or small.
And this idea of taking risks for others can be as simple as being the first to say hello to someone who looks lonely or standing up for a friend. It's amazing how these small acts of courage can mean a lot to someone else.
Yes, sometimes risks are about kindness and empathy. And in those moments, we're not just helping others, we're growing ourselves too.
Right, Emma? It's like every risk we take, no matter how small, becomes part of our story, part of who we are. And it shows us that we're capable of doing things we might have thought were impossible.
Exactly, and that's such a big part of why taking risks matters. It's not just about the action itself, but the lessons and strength we gain along the way. When we take risks, we show ourselves that we're capable of so much more than we might realize.
And I think that's why it's so important for us to keep asking ourselves, what risks are worth taking? Because sometimes the answer can really surprise us.
That's a great question. James, what risks are worth taking. It makes us really think about our choices and understand that not every risk is the same. Some are just more meaningful. They add something to our lives, even if they don't work out perfectly.
Yes, exactly. Not every risk needs to be about big rewards or success. Sometimes the journey itself is worth it, and we can learn so much from it, even if it doesn't go as planned.
Absolutely, and sometimes taking a chance helps us learn more about ourselves. Maybe we discover strengths we didn't know we had, or we learn what really matters to us. It's a kind of self-discovery that only happens when we step out of our comfort zones.
That's such a good point, Emma. Risks can show us parts of ourselves that we didn't realize were there. Like, maybe we're stronger or more creative than we thought, or maybe we're braver than we ever knew.
Exactly, and I think that's part of why people take risks, even when it's scary. Deep down, we're all curious about who we can be. We want to see what we're capable of, even if it's just in small ways.
Right, and, sometimes risks don't always have to be these huge, life-changing decisions. They can be small things too, like trying a new hobby, making a new friend, or speaking up in class. These are little risks, but they still help us grow.
That's a great example, James. Even the smallest risks can make us feel proud. When we look back, we can say, I tried that, and I'm glad I did. It might seem small to others, but to us, it's a big step.
Exactly. And I think everyone can remember a time when they tried something new, even if it was just once. Those moments stick with us because they remind us that we're capable of change, of trying and learning.
Yes, and it's so interesting because, as people, we're always evolving. The risks we take shape who we are. They shape our stories, our experiences, and even how we look at life. And it's a reminder that we're always growing.
Right, and that growth, Emma, it doesn't always come easy. Growth usually means we have to go through challenges, discomfort, and even some failures along the way. But that's what makes it real and valuable.
Exactly, James. It's like taking risks makes life a little richer, even if there are bumps along the way. And honestly, sometimes the bumps are what make the journey memorable. Those moments can become our best stories to share with others.
Yes, and it's funny because when we look back, we often realize that those hard times taught us the most. It's like each risk, each challenge, is a lesson that helps us become wiser.
That's true. And when we share these stories, it might encourage someone else to be brave too. Like we were saying earlier, when one person takes a risk, it can inspire others around them.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the best things about taking risks. It doesn't just affect us. It affects the people around us. They might see us and think, if they can try, maybe I can too.
Exactly. It's like we're creating a little ripple effect of courage. And that's such a beautiful thing because it makes us feel connected to each other. We're all just trying to be brave in our own ways.
Yes, and when we support each other, it makes the risks feel a little less scary. Knowing that we have friends or family who believe in us can make a big difference.
That's so true, James. Having people who believe in us can be a huge source of strength. Even if we're scared, their support can make us feel like we can take that step.
And it's nice to remember that we're not alone, even when we're taking a risk. There are people cheering for us, even if we don't always see them.
Yes, and sometimes knowing that others are rooting for us can make us want to try even harder. We want to do our best, not just for ourselves, but for the people who believe in us.
It's amazing how a little bit of support can go a long way. And when we finally do take that step, no matter the outcome, we can look back and be proud of ourselves.
That's exactly it, James. Even if the outcome isn't what we hoped for, just the act of trying is something to be proud of. When we take risks, we're choosing to believe in ourselves, even if just a little, and that's powerful.
Right, Emma. It's like saying to ourselves, I'm worth this chance. And sometimes that small belief is enough to make us keep going, even if things get tough along the way.
Yes, and what's interesting is that taking risks often teaches us that mistakes aren't the end of the world. We learn that even when things don't go as planned, we're still okay. We can still move forward and try again.
Exactly. Risks can be a way of reminding ourselves that we're resilient. Each time we face a setback and get back up, it's like building a little bit more courage.
And courage is something we all need, don't you think? It's not something that just comes naturally. We have to build it, and taking risks is one way we do that. It's like working out a muscle. The more we do it, the stronger we get.
That's a great way to put it, Emma. Taking risks really does make us stronger over time. Even if it's just small steps, each one adds up, helping us feel braver in bigger situations.
Exactly. And it's funny because sometimes even small risks can feel like big ones at the moment. Like maybe we're nervous to speak up in a group or try something new. But afterward, we realize it wasn't as scary as we thought.
Yes, and once we've done it, we usually feel a bit more confident. It's like, hey, I did that, so maybe I can do something even bigger next time.
Right. And then suddenly, the things that used to scare us don't feel so intimidating. We realize that we're capable of handling more than we originally thought.
It's true, and I think that's one of the best parts about taking risks. They help us see ourselves in a new light, and we start to believe in our potential a little more.
Yes, and that's such a rewarding feeling to realize that you're growing, becoming more confident with each step. And we can apply that confidence to so many areas of our lives.
Exactly, and when we look back on the risks we've taken, we often feel proud, even if they didn't go perfectly. They show us that we were willing to try, willing to go beyond our comfort zone.
Yes, and that's something we can carry with us. Each risk we take, big or small, becomes a part of who we are. It shapes us, and it gives us stories to tell, memories to look back on.
And I think those memories are important. They remind us that we've been brave before, so we can be brave again in the future.
Absolutely. It's like each risk we take gives us a bit of courage for the next one. And knowing that we faced challenges before helps us feel ready for whatever comes next.
That's so true, Emma. And the more we take risks, the more we start to see life as an adventure full of new opportunities and experiences. It becomes less about fear and more about curiosity.
Yes, curiosity. That's a great word for it. It's like we're exploring what's possible, seeing where life can take us if we're open to it. And sometimes, the results are even better than we imagined.
Exactly. Life is full of surprises, and some of the best ones come when we least expect them, often when we've taken a chance on something new.
And that's the beauty of it, James. Even though risks can be scary, they're also exciting. They open doors, introduce us to new people, and create moments we'll remember forever.
So true, Emma. Taking risks isn't just about facing fears, it's about embracing all the possibilities that come with them.
Yes, and it's amazing to think about how different life would be if we never took any risks. We'd miss out on so much.
Exactly, Emma. If we never took risks, so many of the things that make life special just wouldn't be there. The new friendships, the unexpected adventures, even the small moments that end up meaning so much, they all come from stepping out of our comfort zone.
Right, James? That's really amazing when you think about it. Every time we take a risk, we're giving ourselves a chance to grow and to discover something new, whether it's about the world around us or something inside ourselves.
Yes, and I think a big part of it is learning to trust ourselves. To believe that even if things don't go exactly how we planned, we'll be okay. And maybe, just maybe, we'll end up with something even better than we imagined.
Exactly. Sometimes risks lead us to places we didn't even know we wanted to go. And that can be a beautiful thing, too, discovering new dreams and goals along the way.
Absolutely. And, even if we face disappointment, it's often temporary. The lessons we learn from those moments stick with us for a long time, making us wiser, stronger, and more prepared for the future.
That's so true, James. Risks teach us resilience. They show us that we can handle more than we thought, that we can adapt and keep moving forward, even when things get tough.
Yes, and I think when we take risks, we're giving ourselves permission to live fully. We're saying, I want to experience life completely, with all its ups and downs. That's where the richness of life comes from.
Exactly. And life's richness doesn't come from playing it safe all the time. It comes from those moments when we're willing to be vulnerable, to open ourselves up to new experiences, to say yes even when we're a little unsure.
I couldn't agree more, Emma. Taking risks makes us feel alive. It reminds us that we're not just watching life from the sidelines, but that we're actively a part of it, making choices and creating our own paths.
Yes, and it's empowering to realize that we're in control of our own journeys, that we get to decide what kind of life we want to live.
Absolutely. And each time we choose to take a risk, we're shaping that life step by step. We're saying, I'm going to make the most of this one life I have.
That's right, Emma. And for anyone listening, remember that taking risks doesn't mean you have to do something huge or scary right away. Start small, take little steps, and see where they lead you.
Yes, sometimes the smallest steps make the biggest difference. And as you grow more comfortable, maybe those steps will get a little bigger. Just remember, it's all about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And be kind to yourself along the way. Sometimes things will go well, and sometimes they won't, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're trying and learning with each step.
And that's what life is all about, isn't it? Learning, growing, and finding joy in the journey. So, let's embrace the adventure with all its uncertainties and all its potential.
Couldn't have said it better myself, James. Life is meant to be lived fully, and taking risks is just part of that experience.
Thank you all for joining us on this topic. We hope you found something here that inspires you to take a little chance, to step out of your comfort zone, and to see what amazing things might be waiting for you.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. Remember, life is an adventure, and you're the one who gets to decide how you want to live it. So take those risks, make those memories, and keep growing.
Until next time, stay brave, stay curious, and keep exploring.
Goodbye, everyone, and take care.
Goodbye.